Welcome to Final Take, everyone. I am Jostun, Pomplun, and joining me tonight are Marty, Kauffman, and new analyst Nathan Hansen. Gentlemen, how was your Valentine's weekend?
It was awesome. Not looking forward this week, though. I got a few tests coming up.
Mine was pretty uneventful. Kind of hung out with some friends, but that was about it.
Yeah, I just did my usual job at sporting events and hung out with a couple friends. Well, we have a fun and exciting episode for you tonight as we will discuss your pointer sports, high school basketball, the Wisconsin Badgers, NBA All-Star Weekend, and the rest other national sports around the NFL and other sports. Tonight we start with men's hockey. With the third-ranked Pointers men's hockey team, they traveled to Eau Claire this past weekend to take on the Blue Golds. The Blue Golds are 9th ranked on the country and 2nd place in the conference. The Pointers lost the first game on Friday 5-2 before bouncing back to beat the Blue Golds 5-2 on Saturday. 5 different Pointers scored in the win as the Pointers scored the final 4 goals of the game. The Pointers travel to River Falls this Friday before closing out the regular season by hosting Superior on Saturday. How do the Pointers go on the road and defeat River Falls?
Well, you know, guys, they say consistency is key, and that's one thing this team kind of doesn't have. I mean, they win 5-2 one night, and then the next night they lose 5-2. Doesn't really make sense. I mean, they have the talent to beat anyone. They just have to be more consistent and actually show up for these games.
I think the key for them to win is to not give up 4 goals in the second period, as you talk about consistency. But this team right now, they need to start kind of finding to keep dominating games like they did on Saturday. You can't just have one of these off nights as they had Friday. So consistency is where I believe they need to work on. Also, too, is maybe the defense a little bit. 4 goals, how do you give up 4 goals like that? Especially, too, you're out shooting opponents. They're out shooting their opponents big time, and they're still losing games. So maybe Jager's not quite 100% where he's on his game, so maybe he needs to start working on that a little bit better. But he's still a big part of the reason why we're where they're at right now, first place in the WEAC. So I'm not putting this all on Jager, but maybe the defensive side of the ice right now isn't really playing up to its best at this point in the year, which they need to start going forward into the postseason.
I agree. They have to be way more consistent. They go out and they beat top-ranked teams like St. Norbert, and then they lose the ham line. So they've had some good games. They've had some bad games. They definitely need the defense to step up this weekend. And also, they need to get off to a better start. They were down 2-1 in the game. They did win, and then giving up 5 goals on Friday night, that just can't happen. Well, now on to women's hockey. The 8th-ranked Pointers hosted a weekend series against Superior. The Pointers were able to score first on Friday. However, the Yellow Jackets came back to take a 2-1 victory. On Saturday, the Pointers got back at the Yellow Jackets when Emily Lester scored the game-winning goal for a 4-3 victory. Lester, Betsy Anderson, and Shauna Ballinger each finished the game with a goal and an assist. With the win, the Pointers clinched the 2nd seed in the WIAC tournament. The Pointers will again play host to Superior beginning February 27th. What is the outlook for them in the WIAC tournament?
Well, it's looking pretty good. They're starting to turn things around. I mean, they're 10-2 at home, but only 6-5 on the road. So that's something they need to pick up. But I think with the tournament, I think they can turn things around again and keep it rolling.
See, I don't know what the outlook can be with this team right now. They just played Superior. They're about to play them again. I can see Superior coming and winning again. Superior beat them on Friday night. They came back and scored 2 goals, and they were neck and neck with them on Saturday too. So I think this can go either way. I think Superior right now they might be able to go come back and readdress the problems they created over the weekend, and maybe solve this Pointers team out and beat them, and maybe end the season a little too early that the Pointers would not be able to move on.
I think home ice is going to be huge in this matchup. I mean, they had a tough game on Friday night against Superior, and then they had another tough one on Saturday. Jana Belke-Skaug definitely needs to pick up the pace a little bit in goals. She had a good start to the year, then she struggled a little bit. But if she can get back to that form she had in the past, I think they got a chance to win it. But River Falls is going to be tough too. On to basketball. The Pointers were able to take hold of first place in the WIAC with a thrilling 72-69 win over UW-Whitewater last Wednesday. Jordan Lutz led the Pointers with 22 points while shooting 5 of 6 from the 3-point line. Austin Riff and Joe Ritchie each chipped in 15 points. What did you guys see from the Pointers in this game that they were able to pull out the win?
Well, this game was very uncharacteristic of the Pointers. They held Whitewater to 40% from the field, which is typical, but Whitewater only turned the ball over 5 times, so their defense wasn't as stifling as it usually is, and Whitewater didn't have KJ Evans, which is arguably their best player. So that helped out point a little bit. And also they shot over 50% from the 3-point arc, the Pointers did, which definitely helped. And they only had 6 turnovers. What's also surprising was Alex Richard only played 15 minutes, scored 5 points. McGann had 18 minutes off the bench. So that's maybe something to keep in mind looking forward, Richard's presence.
What was the surprise of the game for me is that they scored above 70 points. I mean, this offense has not been around. It's pretty much been non-existent all year, and now all of a sudden they play the biggest game, and of course we'll talk about it later. Coming up is about their following game on Saturday that the offense is starting to click. And you have a guy like Jordan Lutz come off the bench, or did he start?
Yeah,
I wasn't
he
sure. He started. He hasn't been scoring 20 points a game this year, so having a performance out of him like that is key for this team coming down the stretch. So, and you said too, McGann's playing more minutes now too. They're getting that depth that they've been trying to figure out all year. So right now, this team is clicking right when they want to. So I think the surprise is that the offense came out and led the way for that win. Their defense has carried them all year, but it was the offense against Whitewater that won that game for them. And then, like you said, at 50% shooting from three-point line. This team lives by three-pointers too. If they get going, they're going to win games like the way they did on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I was surprised Alex Richard didn't play more than what he did. He didn't know if he was injured or whether he really screwed up or something. So yeah, he needs to step up his game if they want to keep it up. The offense has really stepped up the past couple games, beating Stout by 40, then 72 points against Whitewater. But here's the thing: in the first game against Whitewater, the Pointers didn't have Stephen Pelkoffer, and now this week Whitewater didn't have KJ Evans. So it'll be interesting when those two teams can play each other full strength. Well, the Pointers then proceeded to blow out UW Stout on Saturday, 85-44. Stephen Pelkoffer led 6 pointers in double figures with 15 points, and Austin Riff had a near triple-double with 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. Can the Pointers pull this out and win the WIAC?
Absolutely. They're finally healthy now, and you just saw the big win over Whitewater, Whitewater's really their only test in this conference. So I think now that they have the table to run themselves, I think they can do it.
I think they can win it too. I can maybe see a problem playing Oshkosh again. I think Oshkosh coming in here, they had a really big performance against Point. I think Oshkosh might pose as a threat in the tournament. Maybe I think regular season it's probably done that they win the conference unless they somehow lose this weekend. I don't see it, but I do believe this team can win the WIAC. But you said it too, Whitewater, they were out their best player, so that might be a big difference come tournament time in the WIAC tournament.
Well, for the regular season, I think this is going to come down to an all-out tie. Whitewater and Point pretty much going to be tied at 15-1, so it's going to come down to a coin toss to decide who gets the #1 seed for the conference tournament. So it's really up in the air. Whoever gets that home court advantage is really going to be key. As the Pointers, they have a bye week, they have a bye game for that. They're already in the semifinals, but whoever gets that #1 seed is going to have the edge. Well, the wins move the Pointers up to 5th in the latest D3Hoops.com Top 25 poll. The Pointers traveled to Superior on Saturday to close out the regular season. On the women's side, the Pointers remained at 500 for another week after falling 64-52 to Whitewater and then defeating Stout 68-64 on the road to clinch a berth in the WIAC tournament for the 15th consecutive season. Joanne Wolfenberg led the Pointers with 18 points in the win, and Lauren Anklem added 14. The Pointers return to action Saturday when they host Superior. Can the Pointers pull the upset and go into the conference tournament hot?
Absolutely not. They're consistently inconsistent. I mean, one time they've held a team to 18% shooting and they've lost the game. And they've shot over 60% in a few games and they've lost those games. So it doesn't make sense how they play. They don't really have a style. Lauren Anklem will lead one game, then Wolfenberg will lead another. They don't really have a leader that can really take them far into a tournament.
I'm going to go on the opposite end of you. I think they'll actually win 2 games in a row this weekend at home. I think Egner will get that winning season this year. They're either going to be losing season or a winning season. I think Egner coaches them to a winning season this year, and I think they get a little run going into the tournament. I think they can pull off some wins. They took the #1 team this year to the limit. If they can play like that going forward, I think this team can play it. But like you said, the consistency issues need to be fixed immediately. So I think right now this team has a chance to maybe make a run in the tournament.
Well, they've shown they can play with the top teams. They've beaten Oshkosh, as Marty said. They've played close with the former #1 team. They lost to Superior earlier in the year. They're inconsistent. We'll find out if they win or not. We'll be back after a short commercial break to talk Wisconsin Badger and high school basketball.
Don't let the snow and cold get you down this winter. The frozen tundra outside may keep you indoors, but here at SPTV, we'll still be getting you the best news, sports coverage, and entertainment that you need. Don't freeze your fingers and toes off to find out what's happening around campus. Stay warm, everyone.
Don't have a television? Don't worry. SPTV is available on demand at uwsp.edu/SPTV. Find your favorite shows on our website, plus links to all of our YouTube content. Stay up to date with SPTV news that includes information about campus and community happenings. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. We're SPTV-UWSP Television. SPTV. Let's make media together.
Serving a campus of 9,600 strong, we are the home of UWSP Television. We are SPTV. You can find us on Charter Channel 983, online, or on any of our social media sites.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We resume with boys high school basketball. The second-ranked Spash Panthers rebounded from their first loss of the season with an 82-43 win over Merrill. What does it say about this team, the way they were able to respond after their first loss?
Well, I mean, that first loss wasn't too big of an issue. As a team from Minnesota, it takes the pressure off them to go undefeated the rest of the season, which is kind of nice because they don't have to worry about that now. Although if they want to go further into the state tournament, it might be a little difficult when they see a team that's probably close to about what they are. Right now, their competition hasn't been too stiff.
I think they're just keeping status quo. It's a conference game. They're rolling right through that conference schedule. Unless they lost, I think it would have been more of a scary thought for Spash fans right now, but I don't think it's any worrisome. It could be more of a thing, why didn't they beat them even more too, but I don't even think that's a thought, but it's just another win. They're going to keep rolling, like you said. They're going to go down to Madison probably, and they're going to face tougher opponents, and that's where the test will be for them. I think right now conference is just no test for these guys. They're just that talented, and they're going to be talented again next year. So this is the start of a good run for Spash basketball.
I think this was an expected result. They lost their one game to a team from Minnesota, who's one of the top teams in that state. To come back, they've been dominating all year in the state of Wisconsin. I think they got a good chance to make it to Madison as well, and I think they got a potential matchup with Germantown, who's undefeated and riding a huge win streak, so that could be a huge game to watch. The Panthers return to action this Friday when they host DC Everest. Also in boys basketball, Pacelli star James Gollin recently committed to NCAA Division I Ohio University. Gollin is averaging 30.4 points per game and has helped the Cardinals to a 10-10 record. The Cardinals resume action this Friday when they travel to Bonduelle. Now for the fifth-ranked Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team. The Badgers defeated the Nebraska Cornhuskers 65-55 last Tuesday and then trounced Illinois on Sunday 68-49. Sam Decker had 21 points and 8 boards against the Cornhuskers, while Frank Kaminsky had a double-double in each game with 13 points and 12 rebounds against Nebraska and 23 points and 11 rebounds against Illinois. Is Kaminsky the favorite to win the National Player of the Year award?
For sure. I think his only real competition is Julio Okafor, and I think D'Angelo Russell is probably a third fiddle, but there's a big gap between him and Kaminsky and Okafor. But I think when it comes down to it, Kaminsky means more to the Badgers than Okafor means to Duke. So, and I think he's played more consistent than Okafor has. I mean, he's averaging almost 20 a game, almost 2 blocks, 3 assists, 8 rebounds. Okafor is just about 1 point per game better and rebound better. So I think they're pretty similar, but I think when you go down to Player of the Year award, and you have to really take into account how much a player really means to their team, and that's what I think Kaminsky means more to the Badgers than Okafor does to Duke.
I want to disagree with you, but I can't. I saw this tweet earlier today from the Badgers basketball. It said that when Frank Kaminsky's on the floor, the Badgers have scored 424 more points than their opponents, and when he's not out there, it's only 14 more points.
Yeah,
I think that's the answer right there.
Yeah.
Who's the best? Who's more important to their team this year in Player of the Year? 424 compared to 14. I think we know who the Wisconsin's best player is on the court and who drives them to win. I mean, at first I would have thought if they don't have Frank Kaminsky, this team is still talented to make a run. But obviously that stat shows that he means a lot more to this team than most people think. So
especially that Rutgers game, when they lost without him against the Rutgers team, was not even in the top half of the conference. It definitely shows it.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising. They have all this talent on that roster from last year, and one guy's not on the floor. It's a huge difference. It's like not having LeBron James apparently on the floor for your Michael Jordan. Frank Kaminsky apparently is that talented in college basketball right now, where he's the main guy in the Badgers, where they can't score points without him.
Yeah, I saw that same exact stat. It came out to an average of about 17 points into about 0.6 points. And Frank Kaminsky's definitely more effective than Okafor on the defensive end. I've heard Kaminsky can alter shots, block shots. Okafor a little bit more of a liability, gets beat a ton. So Kaminsky definitely an advantage on that end of the floor. Okafor's got the head-to-head one, and as he mentioned before, the Rutgers game where Kaminsky was out with a concussion, that really hurt him. So I think he's definitely got a chance to be Player of the Year. Well, the Badgers are currently 23-2 and 11-1 in the Big Ten. Is anyone going to challenge them for the Big Ten title?
Not in the regular season. Conference tournament, I'm definitely weary about. The Big Ten is always tough. You have Tom Izzo coach team. You have Ohio State. Those they're a little worse than they were last year, but they're still tough. I mean, a few games over the weekend, even Michigan, they've lost a few players, but they're still in there. So I think the conference tournament play gets kicked up a notch, and postseason is a whole different game than the regular season.
Yeah, just stealing the words right out of my mouth. Regular season, they should be locked up 23-2 right now. That's theirs right now. If they don't win it, then that's on them. But obviously the tournament, I mean, you can't count out teams like Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana. Those are well-coached teams, and Michigan gave Wisconsin a run earlier this year too. Like, it's not that Big Ten tournament. Wisconsin will be the favorite, but it'll be tough. I believe that tournament, that conference just beats each other up when it comes to that time of the year. So regular season, it should be theirs. I could see a team like Maryland coming up out of nowhere in the tournament too. I mean, they were in the ACC recently too. This tournament's going to be a tough one for the Badgers, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely the favorite. They've got almost a 3-game lead in the regular season, and then conference tournament we played on a neutral floor and not in the Kohl Center. So it'll be a little bit more of a challenge, but I still think they can pull it out. Well, the Badgers continue conference play with a trip to Penn State on Wednesday and a home matchup with rival Minnesota on Saturday. We'll take a quick commercial break, but when we return, news and notes from around the national level.
Hey you! Are you creative? Do you like television? Would you like to make a show that appears on air? Then SBTV is the place for you. At SBTV, you can appear on air, learn how to shoot and edit video, write and produce your own show, and most importantly, gain skills and experiences that will last a lifetime. Want to join us at SBTV? Come check us out in the Communication Arts Center, rooms 121 and 130. We'd love to meet you. SBTV. Let's make media together.
Welcome back. The NBA All-Star Weekend was held this past weekend in New York, where the West defeated the East 163-158. Russell Westbrook was the game's MVP with 41 points. On All-Star Saturday night, Patrick Beverley won the Skills Challenge, Steph Curry won the three-point contest, and Zach LaVine wowed the crowd in winning the dunk contest. Bucks guard Brandon Knight finished second in the Skills Challenge, while Bucks forward Giannis Antetokounmpo participated in the dunk contest. What did you guys think of All-Star Weekend?
It's awesome. It doesn't really get better than All-Star Weekend. I mean, you got 3 hours of basketball. What's better than that? But you got the Skills Challenge, which was pretty entertaining. I mean, you got a couple guys that were losing the ball, dribbling, and their passing was a little off, but then they come back and hit 1-3 and they win it. So that was interesting. And then you also got the dunk contest. I mean, who doesn't like dunks? You got between the legs, and you got Oladipo throwing down a 540 and LaVine taking it home. And then, of course, the game on Sunday. Much anticipated nail-biter, 163-158. It's just fun. I mean, it's all laid back. Everyone's taking a little break from the season, and they're just having fun.
NHL All-Star Game, NHL All-Star Weekend blows this stuff out of the water. Those skills challenges are actually real skill challenges. The dunks, okay. I mean, I would agree. Zach LaVine, he put on a show Saturday night. He was getting some jumps on it. I was just like, wow, I didn't think he could do that, but. The thing that's dunk contest is how many of those dunks have we seen from years past? To like how much more original can they get? I think the only person that can really make it something would be LeBron James, but he's too cool to do that. I think he's above the slam dunk contest. But I mean, the All-Star Game is so boring. I always complain about the NBA. NBA is one of the worst sporting events to watch in my mind. They play music constantly when they're playing. Like, I don't know how you can play when you got Usher in your ear. And then you got just no defense whatsoever in this game. You want to talk about slam dunk contest, just watch Sunday night's game where you just watch LeBron and you watch all the other guys going and dunk all over the court. And Russell Westbrook obviously he wins the MVP because all he does is shoot the ball. So obviously he's got 41 points. So he's just going to take all the shots he wants in the world. The NBA All-Star game, even the NHL All-Star game, there's just no defense. Like, these All-Star games are just terrible. There's just no defense. There's just no care in the world. I don't know how you can sit through that. The only All-Star game that's relevant and any good because you have to actually play it is the MLB All-Star game. That's the only one I find interesting. Even the Pro Bowl's bad. But three-point shooting contest, I mean, that can be kind of fun to watch, but how many times you want to keep watching a person shoot a basketball around an arc? Skills challenge, they're just dribbling really around a court, trying to be fast. NHL skills challenge is way better to watch. Those guys do some amazing stuff with a stick and a puck. Just NBA All-Star weekend, slam dunk contest for 20 minutes might be exciting, but everything else about it's pretty boring.
How did you not like the three-point contest? You're the best three-point shooters in the league. They were talking about this was the best field in history.
Okay, so
and everybody likes points. So how is 163 to 158 not fun?
How is that not fun? It's just up and down. It's matter of who misses a shot and who doesn't get the ball last. They don't play defense. It's like, hey, watch me go do this dunk. Okay, watch me go do it down here. I'll get out of the way for you while you do that. And okay, will you do that for me then too when I do it to you? It's one of those, like, it's almost like they just play, hey, can you top this? And I just find that to be just dumb and just terrible to watch. And it showed in the ratings when they got blown out by Saturday Night Live's anniversary special. So
that wasn't fair. Come on. Saturday Night Live 40-year anniversary compared to an All-Star game. I mean, come on.
Well, SNL did blow them out of the water in the ratings. I could care less about the NBA All-Star game. A lot of it's just all for show. They had the pregame concert, the halftime concert.
Yeah, if anything, the best part of the thing is when they just do their intros, they just start doing some weird dances and stuff like that. They have smoke coming out, so that's kind of cool, I guess. But everything else, maybe the Celebrity All-Star game, I think, is more entertaining than the regular game. Kevin Hart's, even though Kevin Hart kind of wears me out, you see him screaming on the court in his tiny body and whatever, how short he is, just screaming and winning 4 MVPs. That's actually what I think is the best part of All-Star Week, is just hearing that guy just pretend to cry and just retire from basketball.
Yeah, lousy defense also in the game. It's a pickup game out there. These guys just trying to show off. I could care less about it. Zach LaVine, he was pretty amazing in the dunk contest, but I'm really disappointed in Giannis's performance in that. Come on, Giannis, you're the Greek freak. You got to do better than that. Well, speaking of the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks are negotiating a buyout for troubled center Larry Sanders. Sanders is in the first year of a 4-year, $44 million contract and only averaged 7.3 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 1.4 blocks. He has not played since December 23rd due to a suspension and personal reasons. Is it about time the Bucks moved on from Sanders?
He's done. Kick him to the curb. Nothing. He offers nothing to this team. This year, he was averaging 7 points when he was playing a lot, so there's just no need for him. Even they're 30-23 now. They're doing completely fine without him. They don't need him.
If he doesn't want to play there, don't need him. I wouldn't keep him either. I mean, they're doing fine without him, it seems like. He just seems to be a guy that probably didn't like the direction of the team was going and basically just didn't want to play basketball anymore. If he doesn't want to play, fine. See you later, man. Hope you have a good time.
Well, he had a breakout year where he almost averaged a double-double a couple years ago. Was one of the best defensive players in the league, finished 3rd in most improved player voting. But I don't think he was even worth this 4-year, $44 million contract, and he certainly hasn't lived up to it. The Bucks hope to be a great defensive player. They're actually doing better without him, 1.4 points per 100 possessions better without him on the floor. He only averaged 7 points. He's not a scorer, but only 6 boards. He was just not there. He just wasn't in it. He didn't even want to play basketball anymore. So, yes, they need to move on, and I hope they can succeed without him.
Took the money and ran, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. So who knows how much he'll get in that buyout. Well, now on to the NFL. Packers fans, no more need to worry about onside kicks, as the Packers have decided to part ways with backup tight end Brandon Bostic, who will most likely be remembered for his mishandling of the onside kick in the NFC title game. Bostic thanked the Packers for the opportunity to begin his career. Now, first on the menu for the NFL offseason is the NFL Combine, where college football athletes come together to display their talents in front of all 32 NFL teams while performing specific workouts and drills. Workouts start Friday, February 20th with offensive linemen and tight ends, and the Combine closes out on Monday, February 23rd with the defensive backs. Gentlemen, in the past, some guys have opted out of participating in these events so they don't hurt their draft stock. Who are some athletes that you are looking forward to seeing this weekend?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that everybody should have to participate if you're going to the draft. I mean, to not participate to save your draft stock, I mean, come on. If you really think you're good, if you think you deserve to be drafted, then there's no reason you shouldn't be able to showcase your talents.
Unless they have an injury, I can see them skipping some events. But
right, but there's a lot of these guys like Jameis Winston that they've been talking about who's might do it, might not. But anyway, I have a few guys that I think might be kind of a dark horse. So there's always guys in drafts, you know, that get drafted later in the few rounds. Quarterbacks mainly, they get drafted late and then they have these successes, but no one touts them to be highly touted quarterbacks, like Tom Brady, 6th round pick, and 4 Super Bowl championships. So I think a guy that can possibly have an impact like that is Bryce Petty from Baylor. He's 6'3", 230. He's a great leader. This year he struggled with injuries a bit, and he was also a little inconsistent, but I attribute most of that to injuries. He has the ability to run the ball too, and he's a safe pick. He's a guy who, if you develop him for a year or two, he can be a solid guy for you. And I also think a wide receiver, because wide receivers are huge in the game right now, with it being a passing league. And you saw last year with Kelvin Benjamin and Sammy Watkins and Odell Beckham Jr. that wide receivers are at a premium. And I think one of the best receivers in this class is Jalen Strong, a wide receiver from Arizona State. Obviously, you have Amari Cooper and Kevin White, so they're projected to go top 2 for receivers, but I think Jalen Strong can go 3. He's a former basketball player, so he knows how to get defenders out of his way and keep him on his hip, and he can get up and get the ball. He's 6'4". He's got all the talent in the world. He's a little rough on the route running. That's why he's not as highly touted. But he's the 3rd best receiver in this class, I believe. And I think these two guys can make a name for themselves in the combine on Saturday.
I'm going to kind of go down the same route as you. Our quarterbacks, everyone keeps talking about Winston and Mariota. There's a drop-off after them. I believe Brett Hundley is going to be at the combine, too, from UCLA. This guy has been projected to be a first-round pick for the last couple of years, and now his stock's kind of falling, but I believe he's about to start throwing at the combine, which is good for him, maybe show off if he has any ability throwing the ball in the NFL. But he also kind of had some injuries too, I believe, so that kind of may have hurt his stock. Also, another wide receiver, but he's also considered a tight end, is Funchess from Michigan. I think that guy is the next beast tight end in the NFL. He can be that Jimmy Graham type guy for you in any team. I think if he falls down to your spot late in the first round or middle of the first round, I think you take him. I saw some highlights on him. He catches everything. He makes plays. He's got all the tools to be successful in the NFL. And also, too, for Packers, I think position you need to look out for is inside linebacker. This will be a big week for all the mock drafts and Packer fans who follow those to see what inside linebacker showed his worth this week, whether it's McKinney from Mississippi State, Kendricks from UCLA, Perryman from Miami. Also, too, the running backs in this class. After Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley, who are projected to be the top 2, you got running backs like Abdullah from Nebraska and the running back from Miami. So I think those guys you pay attention to, too, they're more of the speed backs. You saw what New England did with Shane Vereen. Maybe teams start taking more of a pass-catching back like those out of the backfield. So those two had a big eye on them this weekend.
Well, it'll be interesting because a lot of times the combine, they can really help people's stock, like Ryan Leaf propelled them way at the top, turned out to be a bust, or they can really hurt some people. So we'll find out. Well, gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. We thank everyone for tuning in with us today. I'd like to thank Marty Kauffman and Nathan Hansen for joining me tonight with their insightful opinions on the debate desk. And a big thanks to our technical staff and all their hard work to make this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointers athletics information. And just remember, fellow Pointers, here at Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.
Got an itch to be on air? Join the SPTV News crew. Being an on and off-air reporter will help you gain experience in interviewing, shooting and editing video, and reporting behind the anchor desk. Join SPTV News, pointing to you.